Good morning. Hello, I'm Lee DeMonico, CEO of MarinHealth. As I stand here today with Mount Tam before me and with this magnificent new hospital behind me, I'm reminded of what's taking place in this country. And I think we should take a moment to reflect on the pandemic, the raging fires, the hurricanes, the police shootings, unrest, protests. I think it tells us that we can be grateful and thankful, count our blessings. However, it's the good times that help us get through the bad times. And today is a good time. So I think it's appropriate that we quietly commemorate the opening of this new hospital. Thanks all for joining us. Thank you all that are tuning in from the hospital. And thank you to the community for joining us today. Unfortunately, we were not able to have a large crowd, but due to technology, we have a large number of people tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our playlist. We had Imagine by John Lennon, Don't Stop Believing by Journey, and It's a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. Those songs sum up how I'm feeling today. I hope you are too, as we gather to cut the ribbon on our new hospital. This is a truly momentous day, and I personally couldn't be happier to be standing before you. I'd like to start by welcoming the few people in attendance. We have a very limited group due to the public health rules here in Marin and the requirement to maintain safe distances. So we've invited the original members of the board in 2010, both from the district board and the hospital board. Many of you have served many years, some a full 10 years. In no particular order, we have Dr. Larry Bedard, Jennifer Ranks. Hi, Jennifer. Dr. Harris Simmons, Hank, good to see you. And Sharon Jackson. Sharon's a district board member who invited me to Marin some 12 years ago. Thank you, Sharon. Members of the hospital board, Dr. Stephen Schroeder. Hi, Steve. Jean O'Connell. Hello, Jean. David Hill in the back. Dr. Ann Kao. Mara Perez. Hi, Mara. And Derek Parker. We have sitting here today over 100 years of combined community service and governance from all of you. Thank you very much. I wouldn't be here today without all of your support. Our program today will include remarks from a few speakers, a blessing, a ceremonial ribbon cutting, a video sharing some of my reflections, and a behind-the-scenes panel discussion regarding how the new hospital came about. So let me kick things off by introducing our speakers today. First, I'd like to introduce Larry Bedard, who was the chairman of the board in 2010 when the hospital came back under community control, and is the current chairman of the district board. We will have Governor Newsom, who graciously sent us his thoughts by video, since he's a bit tied up right now with all the wildfires in California. And we'll have a blessing by the Reverend Deacon Alberta Brown Buller, our head chaplain here at MarinHealth Medical Center. First, to get started, we have a special message from Governor Newsom.
Hi, it's Governor Gavin Newsom, and I just want to acknowledge this glorious and gracious day. So many of you made possible through your generosity, your support, through your philanthropy, through your hard work, through your patience, but more importantly, your determination to make real a promise was made decades ago, and that is to preserve and advance the cause of public health throughout the region. I was proud to have grown up in Marin County. I know well the attributes, know well the expertise, the skill, the incredible support and service that this institution provides. But that institution needed a little bit of, well, touch-up, needed a little bit of an investment. And this Oak Pavilion is exactly the kind of investment we need in Marin County, and in that context, its capacity to deliver for our entire healthcare system up and down the state of California. So Lee, congratulations on all the hard work. And just as a point of personal privilege, let me thank Mike Stone for your stewardship, faith, devotion to this cause, this hospital. It's been a cause for you of deep personal love and commitment. And I just want to thank you for helping raise our expectations, not just raising money and raising the standards and quality care for Marin County and throughout the region. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Governor Newsom, for your support throughout these years and for your kind remarks. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Larry Bedard, Chairman of the Board, Marin Healthcare District. Larry.
Hope this works. It truly is a marvelous day. I mean, you look around at this new, incredible, beautiful, state-of-the-art hospital, and I don't think any of us sitting out in this audience, all of us who had to make this happen, could realize just how great and grand this day is going to be and the health care that we're going to provide for our community in the future. I also look around, I'm one of the old timers. I've been involved at Marin General Hospital for 44 years. And you know, Lee, your math usually is pretty good, but there's probably 250 years of service to this hospital and this community. Hank Simmons is probably over 40 years, and KO is about the same. So looking out at a lot of new friends, it was an interesting article in the paper today when they talked about kind of the difficult times at Marin General Hospital. And I'm probably the only board member to serve during those difficult times. I sometimes refer to myself as the Richard Nixon of Marin County, because with 6 weeks left in my term, I was withdrawn or off the board. Only in Marin's story, the doctor who replaced me for 6 weeks had lost his license for smuggling LSD into the country. So, and this is the 6th administrator I've served under, and I think by far the best. I've said it before, I've said it, I'll say it again, we would not have an independent, standalone hospital without the skills, the efforts of Lee DeMonico. And I think on behalf of the district board and their community, I would like to read the following resolution. Whereas Marin Healthcare District Board of Directors honors Lee DeMonico, Chief Executive Officer of Marin Healthcare District and Marin Health, acknowledging his leadership and dedication for more than 12 years. Whereas Mr. DeMonico led the successful transition of the hospital from the prior operator back to local control and independence, navigating through significant obstacles and political challenges. Whereas Mr. DeMonico demonstrated unwavering commitment to and support for the mission of the Marin Healthcare District, which is to promote the health and welfare of the residents of Marin County. Not only, I can tell you as an emergency physician, we also treat patients from around the world since we're one of the significant tourist destinations in the country. Whereas Mr. DeMonaco worked to build community consensus to pass Measure F, the $394 million general obligation bond that raised tax dollars to help fund the building of a new seismically safe hospital, as we can see behind us. Whereas Mr. DeMonaco oversaw the planning, design, and construction of the new Oak Pavilion at MarinHealth Medical Center to deliver a technologically advanced, patient-centric healing environment. And whereas Mr. DeMonaco improved access to advanced specialty care for Marin County residents by establishing a strategic partnership with UCSF Health, and later broadened that relationship to include additional services areas in the Marin Health Medical Network clinics. And whereas Mr. DeMonaco expertly guided the alignment and collaborative of multiple healthcare resources, hospital, medical group, foundation, and clinics to provide a single access point for residents to find high-quality care under the banner of Marin Health. And whereas Mr. DeMonaco responded quickly and efficiently to an unprecedented pandemic by collaborating with Marin Health and other healthcare organizations to launch resources for testing, prevention, and safe treatment of COVID-19. And whereas Mr. DeMonaco meet the needs of the community overall, and specifically medically underserved and at-risk individuals by deploying mobile testing teams in the Canal District and senior living facilities. And whereas Mr. DeMonaco marks his final days with Marin Health by unveiling a state-of-the-art healthcare resource that will serve the community well for decades to come, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors proudly thanks Lee DeMonaco on behalf of a grateful community for his exemplary services. I speak on behalf of the physicians, nurses, staff at this hospital, and the patients that we serve. Thank you, Lee, for a job well done, and thank you for this beautiful new facility, which would not be here without your efforts.
Well, thank you, Larry, for those very generous words. Mom, I hope you're tuned in. Thank you, Larry. It's been an honor to work with you for all these years. And now I'd like to take a few moments and share our story. I haven't felt like this in 35 years. It was 35 years ago that I drove to California from Michigan and a 66 VW with whatever I owned in the back seat. The back seats were kind of small. I was coming out here to go to graduate school at Stanford. And it was an evening in September in 1975. I hit Palm Drive, the entrance to the campus. Now, I'd never been west of Chicago prior to 1975. I'm driving down Palm Drive, lined by palm trees, Stanford Chapel, sun setting in the foothills, and I said to myself, wow, I've made it. All my hard work for what was then 23 years was worth it. That's how I feel today. I feel exuberant. I feel we've made it. I feel triumphant. I hope all of you feel the same way. I'm thrilled to be here, cutting the ribbon on California's most advanced hospital, an amazing intersection of science and healing. It's been quite a journey. I'm honored to be here since day one. Not many CEOs have the opportunity to see a project like this from start to finish. They take too long, longer than most CEOs have tenure. Shepherding this hospital's return to local control, executing a smooth transition, and keeping our patients safe. One of the more proud achievements, I can say today that it has been 256 days since our last serious patient safety event. At transfer in 2010, we were averaging an event every 30 to 45 days. It's been our goal to eliminate all preventable harm that can come to patients. And this new facility is going to help us do that. It's been quite a journey guiding the construction of this amazing hospital from beginning to end, and finishing on budget. A $534 million project, 10 years on budget. When you see the beautiful building before you and learn more about the technology and the healing environment, it's hard to imagine we almost didn't get here. I arrived in 2008 during another tough era, the Great Recession. The Marin Healthcare District at that time had an office, a temporary secretary, a legal settlement and transfer agreement, and a consulting transfer plan with no staff and very little working capital. It was a bitter transition from Sutter. We were left with no infrastructure. We had to rebuild and finance an operating organization that could oversee the hospital. To do that, we needed capital, some $20 million in capital, which was about $18 million more than the district had at the time. So I set about finding that capital. I went to banks. I went to El Camino Hospital, where I had been CEO. I was having a meeting with the CEO, telling him what we were doing, and he said very magnanimously, "Well, Geely, if there's anything we can do to help, let me know." So I said, "Well, now that you mention it, how about loaning us $20 million? Unfortunately, I only got two of the three needed votes on the district board. We went to the community foundation and asked for a grant. We asked for a loan. We even went to our owned insurance company, Program Beta. They all declined in the end, except for the county of Marin, through the efforts of then Supervisor Steve Kinsey. They loaned us $20 million from their emergency fund. We also found an IT company that was willing to set up an IT system and front the money, about $15 million, the Xerox Corporation. The transfer felt like a combination foreclosure, as the hospital was being stripped of its cash, and like a hostile takeover due to Sutter's lack of cooperation and ultimately legal breach of the agreement. In 2008, it truly felt like I was a marriage counselor brought in to implement the divorce decree while both the spouses would be living in the house together for 2 years until transfer. In June of 2010, at transfer, We barely had enough money to operate for 1 week. We had $35 million in debt from the money we spent prior to the transfer. We only had $5 million in the bank. I think we were essentially bankrupt. Fortunately, we were able to borrow funds from Union Bank, and we borrowed money from the 6th largest healthcare insurers in California because they wanted us to succeed. So job one was stabilizing our teams, our managers, our caregivers, our physicians, and our revenue, and building the operating organization to run the hospital. It was the perfect storm. We took over in June. Volume plummeted in July by 10%. Our days in accounts receivable climbed during August from 60 to 90 days due to the failure of our billing company. That was a decline of almost $40 million in cash. There was a day, I remember looking at our then CFO and saying, gee, it looks like we got $10 million in the bank and we have a $6 million payroll coming. Certainly not for the faint of heart. With incredible hard work, we did it. It took us 18 months to get back to a normal balance sheet, normal cash flow. Fast forward to today, we got 100 days cash on hand and a new $535 million hospital. Who would have thought? It's a tribute to the nurses, the caregivers, the physicians that stuck by the hospital during these trying times that we're here today. You know, it's a much longer story, maybe for another day, but I like to focus on the reason why we're here today, which is our new hospital. So once stabilized, we set out to fulfill the vision to be the destination for health and healing in the North Bay. Well, you can't do that with an undercapitalized, aging building, which can't easily accommodate the new technology and certainly would not meet the current California seismic standards. So we started planning the new hospital, identifying the foundation for design. The first meeting, believe it or not, with the architect occurred in 2009. And as I recall, included two of the attendees that are here today, Derek Parker and Jennifer Ranks. We wanted the hospital to be patient-focused. Everything we do, including families, is to enhance the patient and family experience. We want the hospital to be a healing environment. Many things have been built into the design to enhance healing: natural light, colors, volumes of space, views of nature. We wanted it to be safe. We built design elements to make it safer to transport patients, to make it safer to lift patients. We built separate hallways so that the public doesn't cross with the inpatients. That adds for not only dignity, privacy, but better infection control. We built flexible design. Our diagnostic and treatment areas, our surgery areas, our operating rooms are all built on the same platform as our nursing units. That means the spaces are interchangeable as healthcare might change, so that this is a living building over the next 40 years or so. And of course, the state-of-the-art, latest technology in imaging, operating room, and on every nursing unit. As you might imagine, it costs money, $535 million to be exact. As an independent community hospital, we have a responsibility to provide essential services that our community expects and deserves. After all, we're the only full-service hospital between Santa Rosa, Berkeley, and San Francisco. And I firmly believe that hospitals mirror their communities. Marin deserves a first-class hospital. You know, we both serve and we've been supported by the community. It's been a great relationship. So that's where we went first. A bond measure passed by 68.5%, where the residents raised their taxes to provide $394 million. But that was not enough. It's a $535 million budget. Once again, the community came through. With philanthropy, thanks to the generous donors, large, small, and in between, we raised $65 million to help fund this project. That amount of money has never been raised before for anything in the community of Marin. And I want to recognize the campaign chairs, Mike Stone and Joe Abrams, that led that for a number of years. We worked incredibly hard to get here. The operating performance of the team allowed us to go out and borrow another $100 million to finish the project. Amazing. From near bankruptcy to $100 million in debt with an A- stable investment grade rating. We worked very hard to get here. It takes a village to raise a child. It took the entire community to raise this hospital. Administration, guiding the growth, our foundation, raising money, physicians and staff hanging in there, supporting us during this transition. That required a lot of patience and stamina on their part, and I thank them. Our excellent design build team, the contractor, the subs, and the residents of Marin for placing their trust in us. Having your trust is invaluable to us. Learned a lot about organization. I learned a lot about myself over the past 10 years. It's taken resilience, take a punch, get off the canvas, perseverance. It's not a sprint. It was a 10-year marathon. Self-confidence, believe in ourselves when others didn't. Stamina, keep our powder dry. And focus, keep your eye on the prize. And here it is. I'm proud to introduce you to the new Oak Pavilion at Marin Medical Center. 2 towers of medical magnificence, 260,000 square feet, new improved facilities for emergency services, trauma, maternity. Each maternity room has a hot tub. I'm afraid the moms aren't going to want to leave once they come and experience the new Marin. New imaging, radiology, new surgery, 114 private rooms. An outstanding facility, natural light streaming in everywhere we can. Skylights in the newborn nursery, skylights in the recovery room, floor-to-ceiling windows for patients, and even natural light into our operating rooms, which is unheard of. And we believe that natural light is good for healing, and it's good for the environment for our caregivers. We wanted to bring the outside in. You see the solariums, indoor-outdoor solariums. There are 9 gardens that surround this hospital and on our rooftops. It was our goal that every patient would either see Mount Tam or they would see a garden outside their window. We have original art, all original, all done by North Bay artists, all specifically selected for its spot, its space, and its room in the hospital. The overall architecture of this building, with its solariums, the steel, the glass, and one of my favorite areas, a 3-story high sunken garden that can be viewed on all 3 floors by patients waiting for radiology, by patients waiting for surgery, and by visitors waiting for obstetrics. And each can go outside as well as inside into this magnificent garden. It's a truly fantastic resource for decades to come. We're at the intersection of science and healing. It's excited to see it come together. It's exceeded my highest expectations. And I'm grateful to everybody who worked so hard to make it possible. This building embodies our greatest aspirations for health care in Marin. Good health care, good health, better quality of life. It's been my goal for 10 years that when the real estate agents are talking to prospective clients about how great the community is, and they talk about how good the school districts are, in that same breath, I want them to say, and we also have great health care here in Marin. It's been an honor, it's been a privilege to have held the office of Chief Executive and to work with a team, an operating team, which included John Friedenberg, my right hand for the last decade, to lead MarinHealth from those dark days in 2008 to the beginning of a bright future in 2020. It has been a privilege representing this organization to the community. I want to thank the board members for their actions and counsel. In particular, I want to thank Paul Korincic, who's been chair for 9.5 of the 10 years during this journey. I'm proud to hand over the keys to a new leader, CEO, knowing that I am leaving him with an amazing facility and an organization that will serve the community well in the decades to come. With that, I'd like to thank you and welcome you to the North Bay's new healing place. But before we cut the ribbon, I want to introduce Reverend Deacon Alberta Brown Buller, our head chaplain at MarinHealth, to help us bless this amazing facility. You're welcome.
Let us pray. With this blessing, we pray for this beautiful new hospital. May we be responsible stewards of this building and of this land, ever mindful of the privilege and honor of being a part of this place. We give thanks for this creation in the words of the First Nation people who honored this land with these words: "May all we say and all we think be in harmony with thee. God within us, God beyond us, maker of the trees." As we move through each day, we ask for guidance to resolve the many issues we are encountering now and those yet to come. May we seek peace, embody love, and serve one another. We pray that wisdom and kindness will guide our actions as we care for all who come here. With this blessing, we pray for the sick who will enter these doors. May they and those who love them be shielded from fear and anxiety. May we be mindful of the needs and concerns of all whom we serve in this place. May those who will depart their earthly life here, know the unending joys of the life to come. With this blessing, we pray that our hands and our hearts might be strengthened for the work that lies ahead of us. There will be difficult, heartbreaking days, but there will be days of laughter and joy too. May we always show compassion to our patients, their loved ones, and our staff who enter these doors. May we be tender when we need to be tender, and may we be strong when we need to be strong. With this blessing, we pray for the staff with our many gifts and talents. Through the work of our hands and our hearts, may our ability to heal bring wellness and hope. May we never forget those among us who are underserved. May we remember that in our gathering there is power present among us. And may we have courage to remember that all good gifts come first from our Creator. With this blessing, may we always recognize that each person we meet is sacred. Help us to treat everyone we encounter with respect and with dignity. May we have the courage to be open and also forgiving to one another and not be fearful of anything or any person that is new or different. May every word we speak and every action we perform show our care and concern for all people. May God bless us always. May God's face shine upon this hospital and be gracious to us. May God look upon us with kindness and give us peace all our days. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Before we cut the ribbon, a couple of folks said they might want to say a few words. And so if there's anyone that's here today that would like to come up and say a few words, now's the time. Hank?
Hi, I'm Hank Simmons, and in 1971, I came on staff here at Marin General Hospital, which it was known at that time. So next July, I will have been here 50 years. It's been a long time. Back in October of last year, I attended the Association of California Healthcare Districts. During that time, they elected a CEO, honored a CEO of the Year award, and I decided at that time that I was going to put Lee up for that honor because I thought he deserved it. Having read what the fellow who won it was from Bay Cities in Southern California, and I thought Lee has done a much better job than that. We passed the GEO bonds in 2013, and it's been 7 years putting this thing together. Well, they said that Rome wasn't built in a day. We had our own Italian build this one. They said we couldn't do it. We did it. And Lee let us. Thank you, Lee.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, Anyone want to help me? You want to come on up? Come on up. Well, we got to stay socially distanced, but you got your mask on. Yeah, you can come up the stage. We ready? Okay. At the count of 3, everybody say, "We did it." 1, 2, 3. We did it!
Come on, move along. I said, baby, I know you're on a roll. Sweet honey, let's take it real slow. You know we got what you need, baby, so take it, move along. I said we got what you need, honey. Come and groove along. Come on. Rolling on the highway, ease up.
Right, bless. As a leader, you probably have a lot of things that you've contributed to. Some are more permanent than others. And I guess what could be more permanent than a new building that's meant to last for the next 40 years? Throughout my career, I've always taken on very challenging leadership assignments. The biggest thing I worried about was, first, do no harm. There was a hospital here, and it was operating, and the caregiving team that was in place was doing a fine job. And so whatever I did, I had to make sure that the result was positive. I felt that there's no reason why a community like Marin shouldn't have a first-class hospital facility. Everybody was very much committed to getting this done for the community. And everybody was very committed to being successful as an independent hospital. Above all, I wanted this to be a place of healing for the community. But at the same time, I wanted it to exude confidence in the medical care that would be provided within the facility. It's taken the entire community to raise this hospital. It started with Measure F, where 2/3 of the community voted to raise their taxes to support this hospital. The donor community responded incredibly. Still wasn't quite enough. However, we decided we'd go ahead and start the project. For a community hospital, enjoying the public's trust is absolutely invaluable. And this is a vital community service. It's the safety net hospital, the only full-service hospital. And I believe our public trust has grown since then. During this pandemic, it's growing every day with what we're able to do for the community during this difficult time. I have an engineering mind. I've got an engineering degree, and this is my 3rd hospital that I have designed. And I wanted to make sure that this hospital had the right feel, the healing feeling. It was always our goal that this hospital would be at the intersection of highly complex medicine and a healing environment. What do I like the best? Probably the most important room in the hospital is the patient room. It's spacious, it's zoned very well for the staff, the patient, and especially for family. It's all about creating an environment so that people can heal in an environment in which people can do their best work. And as I've walked the facility, I believe we've accomplished that.
I'm Jamie Mates, Vice President of Marketing and Communications at MarinHealth. Thank you for joining us today. We've prepared a very special panel of experts to talk to you about our new hospital, the Oak Pavilion. I'd like to kick things off today by inviting each member of our panel to share a bit about themselves. We'll start with our CEO, Lee DeMonico.
Thank you, Jamie. I've been CEO at Marin General, now MarinHealth Medical Center for the past 10 years. Prior to that, I joined the health district 2 years before that to lead the return of the hospital to community control as a freestanding independent healthcare organization.
It's certainly been a long time coming, and the community should be so proud to be able to share this moment with you and the rest of us, so thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Jason Haim, who is the head architect on our project.
Thanks, Jamie. So I'm a principal and one of the executive directors of Perkins Eastman. I've spent the last 26 years in healthcare design, really on a lot of large hospital replacements like Marin. But this is my favorite by far. Hopefully you'll glean from some of that today.
And Jody Knowlton, our art consultant and curator. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jody Knowlton. I'm a principal in the firm ArtSource Consulting. We're based in San Francisco. We've been in business for about 25 years. Our clients are a broad range of businesses, private collectors, and institutions. For our project team at MarinHealth, my partner Tessa Wilcox and Carrie Hurtado and I work together, and we're just really proud and pleased to have been involved in this project. So thank you.
Thank you. I've had a chance to see some of the pieces going up in the building, and it looks wonderful. Moving on, I'd like Ron Paluso from Bertrand Associates to introduce himself.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm Ron Paluso. I'm from Bertrand Associates, and I've been working with Lee on this project since 2009. We helped bring Jason onto the project, and it's been an exciting project, and I'm glad to see it come to fruition. It's great to see the finished product.
And last but certainly not the least, Karin Reese, who is our Chief Nursing Officer and who has been leading the activation and training of all of our staff in preparation of our big opening day. So Karin, could you introduce yourself?
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity. So I'm Karin Reese, and I have been the chief nurse starting my 5th year here, although I'm 35 years in the nursing profession. An interesting fact, this is the hospital that I was born at. So I have a very strong connection to see, the successful growth.
Thank you, Karin. So Lee, if I could start by asking you a question, I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit about what this new hospital means for our community.
Well, I believe this hospital represents, our aspirations for providing the highest quality health care that we can for this community. It took the entire community to raise this hospital, from public increases in tax support, philanthropic support, and the entire team at the hospital providing operating performance that allowed us to go out and borrow money to fully achieve the financing necessary to build this new hospital. So I believe it represents our highest aspirations for improving the health of the community, and good health leads to a better quality of life in Marin. And so I'm very proud of the fact that we've been able to contribute in this very positive way.
Thank you for that. And Jason, from your perspective, we hope this building will serve our community for many years to come. What is unique about the project that will help the building stay relevant as time goes on?
I think we try to do a lot of things, and I'll say that Lee's group was very clear in the beginning. We had so many different goals that were important to the hospital as far as those things that would mean a lot to the Marin community. But I think from that, we kind of, as the project moved along, we really moved toward an idea of wellness. And that term is used loosely in healthcare a lot. What I think it meant for us was we wanted to create a hospitality-focused hospital, maybe a hospital that felt more like a hotel or what somebody would, where they would like to be, with the idea that if you could feel better emotionally, you could feel better physically. And I think that sort of morphed into trying to remove the clinical feel of a hospital, which is very hard to do given the equipment and staff and everything else that's required. So we spent thousands of hours trying to do that on this project. But I think what we get, you hear a lot in the industry about patient experience. And for us, it's really about guest experience. It's not just the patient, it's the patient's family, it's staff, and how do we retain. And so out of that came just a lot of really wonderful, wonderful things.
Yeah, and this idea of creating a more boutique experience, I think, is a great segue actually into a little bit about the artwork that we have curated for the hospital. So, Jody, if I could ask you about to share a little bit about your approach that you took when curating the artwork for the building.
We always really make a full investigation and ensure that we're understanding who our client is. And for us, this means we want to know who works there and who needs this space. How does the space function? What happens here? How does it flow? But most importantly for us is, what's the purpose of art? What does art do here and why? So, here artwork is intended to reinforce a humanistic healing environment. Jason spoke about that. At MarinHealth, the artwork both engages and it also distracts in an effective way by bringing the natural world in through imagery that both represents nature, but it also evokes the feel of the natural world.
Ron, I'd like to ask you a little bit about what managing the project from the very beginning has been like, and certainly no project comes without its hurdles. Could you speak to maybe a few of the biggest challenges that you've had?
Every project, like you said, has unique challenges. And some of the challenges on our project, we actually have we have about a 19-acre site, but only about half of those acres are flat. So we have to excavate thousands of cubic yards out of the site. And when we were excavating this site for the hospital, we're probably about 20 feet into the earth, and we had a lot of rain come in, and we became a water treatment plant, and we looked like a marina more than we did a job site. So we had to pump out about 1 million gallons of water. We had to treat all of that water before we released it into the sanitary system. We've had floods, we've had smoke, we've had fires in Napa and Sonoma counties that have affected us. And we've also had COVID-19. And so many unique challenges on this project. We have definitely had a schedule impact due to that, but we are close to the end here and trying to get finished here in September.
We've continued to persevere.
Yes.
Karin, I know that, a hospital isn't a hospital without the team that works inside of it. Could you talk a little bit about the process and the magnitude of what it means to prepare the staff and how that's orchestrated? Because I don't think that's something that most people think about when they think of a new hospital building.
It's been a large project, Jamie. And of course, as Ron said, COVID sort of reared its head during this time. So, that really made an additional challenge for our staff to stay on track, to complete what they needed to complete while we're still caring and dealing with COVID. We are bringing about 7,000 pieces of equipment from our existing space over. So we had to tick and tie all of those and merge with the 6,000 new pieces of equipment. So on our move day, 7,000 pieces of equipment are going to move with our patient. So it's not just a body that's going to move. So that's just from the equipment standpoint. We have completed already over 800 hours of staff orientation and training of how to work and live in this new space. And this is not just the clinical teams, it's all our ancillary staff that also support that. We have 160 staff in the building, running through 9 different, very complicated clinical scenarios so that everybody gets the opportunity to practice what we normally do in our existing space, but to see how does it work over there? What's different? What systems aren't working? Again, because when we move, we got to be prepared and know that everything that we are used to having work for us does work for us.
Lee, I know you had an initial vision for this project, and I'm wondering, has it come to fruition the way you expected? Has it lived up to what you were hoping for? How are you feeling about where the project is today?
Well, I'm feeling extremely good about the project. It's not often that the chief executive gets to see a project from start to finish. The average tenure in the United States is about 5 years, and this project was over 10 years in the making. So having been part of the conception as well as now approaching the finish line feels extremely fantastic. I feel triumphant that we're at the finish line, given the complexity of this project and given the things that we faced, as Ron mentioned. This building is what I envisioned. It's a combination of high tech, but soft and healing. And what I most wanted, in addition to those two, was that I wanted the building to exude confidence so that the community will have even greater confidence in what we are able to do for them when they need hospital or medical care. And I think the combination of the technology, the new building, with the skill levels of our team is going to make us an even better provider of medical care for the Marin community.
One of the goals was to create a space that gave our physicians and our teams the best place that they could do their best work in. And I think that's really exciting.
I have been in many ORs in my time. And I think this is probably, you can count on one hand across the land where we have 3 ORs that have natural light coming through. That's just unheard of. Those teams deserve, as much natural light as anybody else. So that was remarkable, Jason, how you guys were able to design and pull that off.
I've been personally carrying Lee's list around for the past 6 years, so I'm happy that those things are now realized in the building. I can let them go.
My goal was to get natural light, as you remember, Jason, into every room or department of the hospital. And well, we didn't hit 100%. I think we hit like 98, 99%. And I just want to comment on the 3-story garden that we have to the rear of the hospital. It is just a phenomenal piece of architectural detail that can be seen from waiting areas on 3 floors that can be accessed, I believe, on 2 or 3 floors for visitors, people waiting. It just completely opens up the concept of waiting and a waiting area because of the proximity to the indoor and then the ease with which we can go to the outdoor. Just one of the great architectural features of the building. to go along with those solariums that you mentioned.
I was fortunate enough to be able to have a personal tour. Ron led me on through the building, and you can tell just how much work and thought has gone into the building. So I would like to we'll say, a virtual round robin, and ask each of you to share any final thoughts that you have that we maybe haven't touched on during this conversation. And Karin, if I could start with you.
I would just like to be the voice of the clinical staff who, now have had the opportunity to, spend some time and experience the new space. And even touring some of our physicians who have not seen it. People are just in awe. They sometimes they're at loss for words when they walk through departments. It's just something that they never thought that they would have the opportunity to be able to, practice and provide care in not only a beautiful space, but as was mentioned, really state of the art. I'm excited for the community to be able to experience this as well. So thank you.
Thank you. We're thankful for all the work you've been doing. Jody, are there any last remarks that you'd like to share?
Speaking on behalf of my partners and myself, we're just really grateful that MarinHealth prioritized the value of fine art and really saw the value of fine art and the effect that it could have in a wellness environment.
Thank you. That's great. Ron, any final thoughts from your perspective?
Yes, I am a Green Beret resident, and so I am lucky enough to live in the community, and I'm very proud to have been associated with the project. My kids get to come by, and their friends and my family's friends get to come by, and I'm just proud to be associated with this project. Such a beautiful project. Get to take some credit for some of Jason's design. They all love the building. It's just a very special project to be a part of, and I'm proud to have been a part of the team.
And we're lucky to have had you, so thank you for your dedication. Jason, I'd like to ask you for any final thoughts that you might have.
Architecture takes a village. It just takes, I'm on year 12 or longer for this project with Lee, and I'd say, a big thank you to Lee for his vision. I couldn't do what I do without the support of Lee and his executive team and the board building committee, as we call them. They've all been supportive of, establishing what those goals were and then allowing us to do what we do and just stand there and look at the building and say, man, look what we did. And so super exciting from that standpoint. So thank you for that opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Lee, I'd like to end our conversation with any last thoughts that you have to share with our community.
Jamie, thank you for organizing this and being a great facilitator. I want to thank the other panelists for putting in their time. And I want to thank really the community at large for their support, passage of Measure F. I want to thank the donors for stepping forward. And I want to thank the caregiving teams for providing such excellent care in our older buildings. My father always said, whatever you choose to do, try to do it well and try to make sure you make a contribution. And while we've accomplished much, having taken over the hospital with only $5 million in the bank, and now we're on the verge of opening up a $500 million new hospital. So I feel personally really good that I've been able to contribute to this project that is going to be there for the next at least 40, 60 years, longer than I'm going to be here. And so I just feel that we should all be proud of this iconic building, this building that will be alive when we occupy it, as a symbol for what our commitment is to the health of the Marin community.